Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Juan. I'm a yarn addict, hence the name Juan the Yarn Addict. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for stopping by to check out my video today. This is a yarn and crochet channel where we talk about all things yarn and all things crochet. So if that interests you, please sit back and watch my video because today, my friends, I offer you a full tutorial on the Joey bag. So this is a new bag that I'm presenting on my channel. I'm super excited to present this to you. And here is the bag that I created before the tutorial. The yarn you're looking at is Loops and Threads Bulky Twist yarn in the colorway Fireside Multi and Ecru. And the stitches that you're looking at here are half double crochets and half double crochet stacked crosses. Super, super nice. And then the base is very similar to the Chunky Monkey Market mesh bag. It's in an oval. And I also have the tutorial for that bag on my channel as well. So, the fun thing about this bag, and the reason why it's called a Joey bag, is the fact that there's an inside pocket sewn into it. So it's like a kangaroo pouch, but we have a little pocket inside the bag. So it's a Joey bag. And we have a drawstring pull, which you pull out, it closes just like that. And the folds are perfect. They're so nice and neat and organized. So anyway, this was super fast to work up. Now, I used a 6.5mm crochet hook for this bulky 5 yarn, right here. And for the drawstring, I actually used 3 strands of yarn. So I used 2 strands of the Fireside Multi and 1 strand of the Ecru, and I hooked up to an 8mm crochet hook, and I chained 125. All of that is in the tutorial. Okay, so I show you how to build this from the ground up. The pocket, the drawstring, everything. It's super fun to work up. Now, I will tell you the tutorial is a little bit on the long side, but it's very detail oriented. I show you all the stitches. I walk the entire way with you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, this is the bag that I created the tutorial with. Here we go. And so this, my friends, is a mix of 2 different kinds of yarn. So the colorway that you're looking at right here is Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway, I believe it is, what is this called? This is called Aaron. So I used Aaron for this part right here. And then the green here is called Leaf Green, and it is Loops and Threads Soft Classic. And I used 1 skein of each color for this entire bag, and this is what I have left over. So it's not even a full skein. And furthermore, I used the yarn, that very 1 skein, for all parts of it. The pocket, the drawstring, all of it. And the base of the bag is super nice. You can actually see it better in a solid. It's very nice. And so it also has a drawstring close and very nice and even folds along the top here. It's very nice. Now, you can venture off and do your own thing and maybe even attach the strings to the bottom of the bag and make it more of a backpack if you'd like. But yeah, this is just a project bag that you can put your work in. There's a pocket for your recipes. I call them recipes, but patterns. The possibilities are endless. This is a very versatile bag. So with this particular bag, I used a 6mm crochet hook. I used a Clover 6mm, and then I hooked up when I did the drawstring. I ran 3 strands of yarn. For this bag, I used 2 strands of this cream and 1 strand of the green. And so I will tell you that, again, it's a lot of fun to work up. And I take you through the entire journey from beginning to end. And feel free to rewind, replay, slow me down in case I'm going too fast. But all of the directions are in the tutorial. Now, the materials that you're going to need, obviously, yarn. So if you're going to go with a 4-weight yarn, just 1 skein of 2 different colors. Just like that. You can use a variegated yarn, a striped, an ombre. It's completely up to you. But I would suggest using opposing colors. And you will have leftovers, okay? So there's that. If you're going with a bulky 5, weight yarn, then I would strongly recommend this particular yarn because it is a cotton acrylic blend. It is super soft but very strong because of the cotton that's in it. Okay, and so I would recommend about 600 yards, and you will have some yardage left over. So yeah, super, super nice. In addition to that, you will also need stitch markers. So for the base of the bag, just to make sure that the stitch counts are perfect and accurate, you're going to need 4 stitch markers or 4 little pieces of yarn if you don't have stitch markers. And then make sure that your one piece of yarn or your one stitch marker is different than the rest so you know where your rounds start and stop. Okay, so there's that. You're also going to need a darning needle to sew in your ends. And my friends, I've sewn in all of my ends. I know it's a thing, but it's all sewn in. And then last but not least, a pair of scissors to cut and do all the things. Okay? So again, you're gonna have a lot of fun. This is super fast fun and all the things. Okay? I wish I could have named it the All the Things bag, but we can't name everything all the things. So this is the Joey bag, and I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. If you do enjoy this tutorial, friends, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell to stay updated with everything regarding me and my channel. So that is it for now. Enjoy the tutorial. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, friends, so to get started, what we need to do is create a slip knot on our hook. However you do this is absolutely fine. This is how I do it. And once you have your slip knot, from here what we want to do is chain 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so once we have 15, we want to chain 1 more and go into the second chain from the hook with a single crochet. Just like that. And then we're going to insert a single crochet in all of the chains. So you're going to need a total of 15 single crochets. So you're going to go into your chain, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through both of those loops. And you're going to do that for all of the chains along our project here. Okay? So continue to do that, and I will see you at the end of the chain right here for a total of 15 single crochets. Okay, friends, so here we are at the end of our chain. I have 15 single crochets, and from here what I want to do is I want to place stitch markers in the first and the last single crochet. Now, here are my stitch markers. I intentionally have some different colors here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the yellow stitch marker as the marker that indicates the beginning of the round. Okay, and then the other colors can be whatever they want to be, but for the purposes of this tutorial, the yellow stitch marker actually begins the round. Okay, so now that I have done the entire row here, I'm going to insert a stitch marker into this last single crochet here, just like that. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to insert a single crochet into that same chain that we just finished in, and then we're going to do single crochets on the back side. We're going to come loop around here, and we are going to come back to the beginning of our work here. So from here, what we want to do is go into that very last chain with another single crochet. So let's go in there, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2, and then we're going to go back into that chain one more time. If you notice, I'm actually pinching the tail to the work. I'm going to crochet over that, just like that. Okay, so you have a stitch marker, you have a single crochet, and now this particular single crochet is the beginning of the back side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert a stitch marker into that single crochet. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me make a bunny ear here. We're going to insert the stitch marker in there just like that. So there you have it. Okay? If you don't have stitch markers, feel free to use pieces of yarn. So there we have that. Okay. So I'm going to continue inserting single crochets underneath the single crochets from the other side. You can kind of see the bottoms of the stitches there. So this next stitch is right here. We're going to go into that chain, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through both. And we're going to do that for every single stitch. Just hit the bottom of the stitch and do a single crochet the other side. You can kind of see what we're doing here. Super nice. Again, you're just looking for the other side of that chain there. So you're just going to insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through both. And you're going to do that for every single chain. And you will find that you have 15 single crochets on the back side as well. Just like that. Okay, so here we are at the end. This is what we're looking like. Super nice. And from here, what we want to do is we want to go into that very last chain space right here. So we have the stitch here, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet into that space right there, which is the last one of the round there. Then we're going to do one more. It's the end piece. So let's go ahead and put that stitch marker into that stitch right there. Okay, so let me zoom in and show you everything here. So on this side here, you have the beginning, the 15 stitches, and then we did the stitch marker. We did one stitch on the end here, and then we came around, and this is the other side, and we placed a stitch marker on this side, and we did 15 stitches this way, and we placed a stitch marker on the other side, and then here is the end here. Okay, so think of it as an oval. 15 stitches on this side, 15 stitches on that side, with a single crochet here and a single crochet on this end. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the round. So to finish the round, what we need to do is take the stitch marker off, place our hook inside the first stitch of the round, draw up the loop, and slip to close, just like that. From here, we're going to chain one, and then we're going to go into the stitch we just came out of and do a single crochet. And then let's do another single crochet next door and put the stitch mark back into that stitch, the stitch marker. There we go. And we shall continue. So we're going to do single crochets from here all the way down to the next stitch marker, okay? So continue doing that, and I will see you at this blue stitch marker. Okay, friends, so I have arrived at the blue stitch marker, and so I'm going to take this off. I'm going to insert my hook and do a single crochet. And so this is the beginning of the second round here. So the first round we had 3 stitches. The next round we need 6, so it's going to be twins in a stitch. So 2 single crochets in the first stitch, the second stitch, and the third stitch. So let's go in here and do a second one here. And before I go any further, I'm going to place the stitch marker back into this first single crochet of the end, just like that. So there's 2 there. And now I'm going to place 2 single crochets into this stitch right here. 1 and 2. And now I'm going to insert 2 single crochets into this stitch right here. So let's take that off and do 2 singles right there. And I'm going to place the stitch marker right into that last stitch there. Again, if you don't need to use the stitch markers, by all means, you don't have to use them. But just for ease of use, I'm going with it. All right, so there's that. And now I will continue doing single crochets from this stitch marker to this stitch marker. So we're going to just continue on doing single crochets. So continue doing this, friends, and I will see you at the red stitch marker. All right. Okay, friends, so I've arrived at the red stitch marker, and so from stitch marker all the way around, we're going to increase from 3 stitches to 6 stitches. So if you notice, it looks like there's more than 3 stitches, which there are. So this first stitch will get twins in a stitch. This next stitch will get twins in a stitch, and so will this third one. Once we have our 6, we're going to go ahead and join to the very first stitch of the round. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's take out this stitch marker. We're going to place twins in a stitch right in there. That's 2. We're going to take our stitch marker and put it back into that first stitch. And from there, what we want to do is go into the next stitch with twins. 1 and 2. Once again, we're going to go next door, twins in a stitch, 2 singles. So we have our 6 stitches here. And from here, we're going to go into the first stitch of the round, which is indicated by this yellow stitch marker. We're going to pop that out. We're going to drop a loop and slip to close. From here, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that stitch and do a single crochet. And this is the beginning of round number 3. Let's go ahead and place that stitch marker back in there. And so here we are at the beginning of round 3. And so from here, we're going to insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. So continue doing single crochets for every stitch from point A to point B. And I shall see you at the blue stitch marker in just a second. Okay, friends, so I am at the blue stitch marker. This is the first side of round number 3. And this is what we're looking like so far. And so from here, we're going to build our end here for round 3. So we're going to increase from 6 stitches to 9 stitches. So to do that, we're going to do twins in a stitch and a standalone, twins in a stitch, standalone, twins in a stitch, and a standalone, okay? And that sequence will get us the 9 stitches that we need. So let's pop this off. We're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. So there's 1, and then there's 2. We're going to place that stitch marker back in to the first stitch. There we go, just like that. So twins in a stitch, and then a standalone. And then twins in a stitch, and then a standalone. Twins in a stitch in the next stitch. And then here we are at the stitch marker. We're going to pop that out, and we're going to do a standalone. Okay, so we're going to place that stitch marker back in there. Just like that. So that is our end for round number 3. Super nice. Okay, so single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. And this is the back side to round number 3. So continue doing this, and I shall see you on the other side of round number 3. Okay, friends, so I'm on the other side of round number 3. As you remember, the yellow Stitch marker indicates the beginning of the round. So like we did over here, we're going to copy this over here. So I'm going to take the stitch marker out, and we're going to do twins in a stitch. That's 2 singles. I'm going to place the stitch marker back into that very first stitch that we made of the twins. And then I'm going to do a standalone. Twins in a stitch, and then a standalone. Then from here, we're going to do twins in a stitch, and then a standalone. And so from here, once we have our stitches, we're going to go right to that yellow stitch marker, go right into there, drop a loop, and slip to close. Perfect. Okay, so let me lay that flat, and that is what we are looking like. It's very uniform. Everything is in its place. It looks beautiful. Now, mind you, the stitches in between these stitch markers will never change. They will always be the same count, okay? Because as we create the new stitches, we're placing them back. So from here to here, regardless of how many rounds we do, it's always going to be 15 stitches because that's what we started with. Okay, as you can see, it's very even. What increases are the ends. So we started with 3 stitches. We then went to 6 and then 9. So every round we're increasing by 3 stitches, and that is how we are able to keep this exactly how we need it to be. Okay, so if you ever get lost, look and see how many rounds you're in. Okay, so if you're 6 rounds in, and you need to know how many stitches, well, 6 times 3, which is what you started with, 3 stitches, is 18. So you know you need 18 stitches to get around from this stitch marker to that one, okay? So that's the formula. So we're at the yellow stitch marker, which indicates the beginning of the round. So every time we start a round, what we need to do is pop out the stitch marker. We're already in the stitch. We slipped to close, right? So from here, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go back into that stitch and do a single crochet. That is the beginning of the round, and then from there, we're going to place this yellow stitch marker right back into the stitch, just like that. And as always, we're going to continue doing single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. And so continue with that, and I will meet you once we get to the blue stitch marker. Okay, friends, so I'm at the blue stitch marker, which indicates the beginning of our end here. And so this is round 4. So how many stitches do we need? 4 rounds in times 3 stitches is 12. Okay, so let's pop the stitch marker out. And we are going to start with twins in a stitch. So it's twins, and then we're going to place the stitch marker back into the first stitch, just like that. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and do 2 standalones. 1 and 2. In the next stitch, we're going to do twins in a stitch. And then after that, 2 standalones in their own stitches. So there's 1, and then there's 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to go ahead and do twins in a stitch. And then in the next 2 stitches, which as you can see, there's only 2 stitches remaining, we're going to do a single crochet in each of these 2 stitches. And let's pop out that stitch marker. Place a single crochet in that stitch, and then place the stitch marker back into that stitch. Just like that. Okay. Again, we're going to do single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. So continue with that, and I will see you when we get to the other side here. Okay, friends, so I'm at the next stitch marker. And again, let's just take a look here. We're on the 4th round here, coming to the very first stitch here. So we need 12 stitches to get us from the red stitch marker to the yellow one. So what we're going to do is pop out that stitch marker, take that out, and in this very first stitch here, we're going to do twins in a stitch. So 2 singles, and then I'm going to take that stitch marker and place it back into that very first stitch, just like that. So twins in a stitch, and then 2 standalones. So single crochet, and then single crochet. After that, we need twins in a stitch in the very next stitch, and then 2 standalones, 1 and 2. Then from here, we're going to do twins in a stitch, 1 and 2, and then 2 standalones. It's 1 and 2. And if you notice, I should have mentioned this sooner, but if you notice, we're not exactly at that very first stitch. And that is okay. That is because what we do is we slip into that very first stitch. So we have all of our stitches here, but to close out the round, we're just going to pop off this stitch marker. And from here, we're going to go into that very first stitch, drop a loop, and slip to close. You can kind of see where we've done that in previous rounds right there. So from here, we're going to chain 1 and then go into that very first stitch with a single crochet. And we will put the stitch marker back into our work. Just like that. Okay? So now we are starting round number 5. And this is what we're looking like so far. Super nice. Nice, neat, organized, very orderly. And this is the back side. Very nice. Okay. So let's go ahead and put single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker, and I will meet you once we get to the blue stitch marker. Okay, friends, so I am at the blue stitch marker, and for round number 5, we need round 5 times 3 stitches is 15 stitches. All right, so we're going to pop out that stitch marker, and in the first stitch, we're going to go ahead and do twins in a stitch. So 2 singles, and we're going to go ahead and do 3 standalones. So 1, 2, and 3. Let's go ahead and put our stitch marker back into that very first stitch. I should have done that from the beginning, but there we go. Okay, so we should have 5 stitches right there. Perfect. So from here, we're going to go ahead and put twins in a stitch, 1 and 2, and then 3 standalones, 1, 2, and 3. And from here, in the next stitch, we're going to do twins in a stitch, 2 single crochets, and then in the remaining stitches, we're going to do 3 standalones. So let's pop that stitch marker out. And in the next 3 stitches, let's go ahead and do 1 single crochet per stitch. It's 2 and 3. Let's go ahead and insert our stitch marker. And we're going to insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker for round number 5, the back side here. Let's go ahead and do that. So continue doing this, my friends, and I shall see you in a few seconds. I'll meet you at this red stitch marker right here. Okay, friends, so I'm at the red stitch marker. I'm going to pop that stitch marker out, place twins in a stitch, 1 and 2, and I'm going to place the stitch marker back into that first stitch that we created. And then we're going to go ahead and do 3 standalones. So twins in a stitch and 3 standalones like we did on this side here. Okay. So single crochet, 2 more, single, and then a single. And then in the next stitch here, we're going to do twins in a stitch, 1 and 2, and then 3 standalones, singles by themselves. So there's 1, there's 2, and then there's 3. And then from here, twins in a stitch, 1, 2, There's the twins, and then we should have 3 stitches remaining before we join. So there you see it, 1, 2, and 3. This is our joining stitch. That doesn't count. So single, oops, single, and then a single right there. Okay. So to close out the round, what we need to do is pop out that stitch marker, go into the first stitch of the round, draw up a loop, and slip to close. From here, we chain 1, go into the stitch with a single crochet, and place the stitch marker back into that very first stitch of the round. And now we are on round number 6. And so this is what we are looking like. Super, super nice. And just so you know, friends, we are doing 10 rounds. So we're on round number 6, okay? So to continue, what we need to do is insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. As always, it's 15 single crochets on either side, okay? So continue doing single crochets in between the stitch markers, and I will meet you at this very first stitch marker, okay? Okay, friends, so I'm at the first stitch marker here, and what we want to do is pop that out, go into that very first stitch with twins in a stitch. Okay, we're going to bring that back in and put it into that very first twin, just like that. From here, we're going to do 4 standalones, because again, this is round number 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So we need 18 stitches from this stitch marker around the bend to the red, okay? So twins in a stitch, and then 4 standalones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. From here, we're going to go into the next stitch with twins in a stitch. 1 and 2, and then 4 standalones. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then twins in a stitch. 1 and 2. We should have 4 stitches remaining, which we do. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to go ahead and do standalones. 1, 2, 3, and then in this last stitch right here, let's pop that out. Put a single in there, and then bring that stitch marker back into that stitch. From here, as always, we're going to go from stitch marker to stitch marker with single crochets. So continue doing that, and I will meet you here in just a few seconds. Okay, friends, so I'm on the back side. This is the loop that takes us to the beginning of the round. Again, we're on round number 6, so we need 18 stitches to get us from the red stitch marker to the yellow one. So it's going to be twins in a stitch and 4 standalones. So let's go ahead and pop this stitch marker off. And we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. And then I'm going to place that stitch marker back into that very first stitch that we created, just like that. And then from here, we're going to do 4 standalone stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then from here, we're going to do twins in a stitch. 1 and 2. And then 4 standalones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then from here, we're going to go ahead and do twins in a stitch, 2 singles, and then we're going to do 4 standalones in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then from here, we're going to join into that very first stitch. We're going to pop that out, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, and slip to close, chain 1, and go back into the stitch with a single crochet. And we're going to put that back in to start round number 7. It's growing, friends. It looks so nice, doesn't it? It's perfect. This is the back side. Super, super nice. Okay, from stitch marker to stitch marker, single crochets. Continue with that, and I will meet you at the blue stitch marker in just a second. Okay, friends, so I'm at the blue stitch marker here, and for the round here, for round number 7, we need a total of 21 stitches. Okay, so to do that, we're going to need to do twins in a stitch and 5 standalones. Okay, so let's pop this out, go into that next stitch with twins in a stitch. There's 1, there's 2. Let's go ahead and place that stitch marker back into the first stitch that we created. Just like that. And then from here, we need to do 5 standalone single crochets. So let's go in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And from here, we're going to go into the next stitch with twins in a stitch. There's the twins, and then 5 standalones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then finally, we're going to go ahead into that next stitch and do twins in a stitch, just like that. And then we're going to do 5 standalones, and as you can see, we have 5 stitches remaining. So let's go ahead and pop the stitch marker out to save us some time. We're going to go ahead and do 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go ahead and place that stitch marker back into the stitch that we just made. And that's what we're looking like here. Okay, so stitch marker to stitch marker for round number 7. This is the back side. So continue with that, and I will see you at the next red stitch marker in just a few seconds. Okay, friends, so from stitch marker to stitch marker for round number 7, this is the back side, and this is the beginning of the round, as you can see. We need a total of 21 stitches. So it's going to be twins in a stitch and 5 standalones, twins in a stitch, 5 standalones, twins in a stitch, and 5 standalones. So let's pop this out, go into that next stitch with twins in a stitch. There's 1, there's 2. Let's go ahead and go into that very first stitch of the round. We're going to go ahead and do 5 standalones. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and then there's 5. From here, we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. So that's 1, and that's 2. Let me pull for more yarn here. After the twins, we're going to do 5 standalone single crochets. So there's 1, there's 2, and then there's 3, there's 4, and then there's 5. Okay, from here we're going to do twins in a stitch. So there's 1, there's 2, and then 5 standalones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. From here, we're going to go into the very first stitch of the round. Insert, drop a loop, and slip to close. Chain 1, and then go into that stitch with a single crochet. We're going to place a stitch marker into that very first stitch of the round, like we've done in all the other rounds. Okay, so I've inserted the stitch marker to indicate the beginning of round number 8. And so from here, what we want to do is insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker, and I will meet you at the blue stitch marker in just a few seconds. Okay, friends, so I'm at the blue stitch marker, and we're on round 8. So in true fashion, round 8 times 3 stitches is 24 stitches. So we're going to do twins in a stitch in this very first stitch, and then we're going to do 6 standalones for a total of 8 stitches per section. So let's go ahead and pop this stitch marker out. Let's do twins in a stitch, 2 single crochets, and then we're going to insert this stitch marker back into the very first stitch, just like that. And then we're going to do 6 standalone single crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. From here, we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 6 standalones after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so from here, what we want to do is go into the next stitch with twins in a stitch, 1 and 2. And then we want to go into the next 6 stitches with standalones. And as you can see, we have 6 stitches remaining before we get to the stitch marker. Actually, the stitch marker does indicate the 6th stitch. So let's go ahead and do that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last stitch will get the 6th standalone. Let's go ahead and place the stitch marker back into that stitch. And from here, we're going to go ahead and insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. So continue with that, and I will meet you here in just a few seconds. Okay, friends, so we're on the back side of round number 8. This yellow stitch marker does indicate the beginning of the round. So again, we need a total of 24 stitches. It's going to be twins in a stitch, and then 6 standalones, twins in a stitch, 6 standalones, twins in a stitch, and 6 standalones for a total of 24 stitches. So let's go ahead and pop this stitch marker out, and we're going to go into this next stitch with twins in a stitch. And we're going to place that stitch marker back into our work in that very first stitch of the twins, as you can see there. And from here, we need to do 6 standalone singles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. From here, twins in a stitch. In the very next stitch, it's going to be 2 singles, and then 6 standalones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just like that. From here, we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch, 1 and 2. From here, we're going to do 6 standalones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is what we're looking like. Perfect. So good. Okay. So from here, like previous rounds, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and take out this yellow stitch marker. We're going to go into the first stitch of our round, draw up a loop, and slip to close. From here, we're going to chain 1 and go into the stitch we just came out of with a single crochet, just like that. And we're going to place that stitch marker back into the very first stitch of our round, indicating the beginning of round number 9. Again, friends, I want to stress to you that we're only doing 10 rounds, and we're beginning round number 9. Okay, so as with the previous rounds, we're going to go ahead and do single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. All right, continue with that, and I will see you at the next stitch marker. Okay, friends, so I'm at the next stitch marker, and what we need to do now is figure out how many stitches we need to get us from this stitch marker to this stitch marker. Okay, so round number 9 times the 3 stitches we started out with is 27 stitches. So we need 9 stitches per section. And so to do that, what we need to do is twins in a stitch and then 7 standalones. Twins in a stitch and 7 standalones, twins in a stitch and 7 standalones. And that will get us from one stitch marker to the next. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop out this stitch marker. And we're going to go into this very next stitch with twins in a stitch. 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and place this stitch marker back into that very first twin we've created. Just like that. From here, we're going to do 7 standalones in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. From here, we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. It's 1 and 2. And again, we're going to do 7 standalones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. From here, we're going to do twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. So 1 and 2. And then from here, we're going to do 7 standalones in the next 7 stitches. And as you can see, including the stitch marker, there is 7 stitches remaining. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do singles in the next 7 stitches. All right, and so let me pop this stitch marker out. We're going to go in here and do a single crochet. Let's go ahead and put that stitch marker back into that stitch we just created. And from here, we're going to insert a single from stitch marker to stitch marker. Okay? So continue with that, and I will see you at this red stitch marker, and then we will continue on until the end of round number 9. All right, I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, friends, so I am at the stitch marker, and we're on the back side of round number 9. And this yellow stitch marker does indicate the very beginning of the round. So, like this side here, we need a total of 27 stitches to get us from stitch marker to stitch marker. And so to achieve that, what we need to do, like before, is pop this stitch marker out, insert twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. So there's 2. And then we're going to insert this stitch marker into the very first stitch of the twins. Just like that. And then we're going to insert 7 standalones in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And in the very next stitch, we need to do twins in a stitch. Let's go ahead and do that. And then from there, 7 more standalones in the next 7 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. In the next stitch, twins in a stitch. 1 and 2. And then, like previously, we need 7 standalones. So 7 standalones in the next 7 stitches. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so those are the stitches we need, and to end the round we need to, like previously, pop this stitch marker out, go into the very first stitch of the round, draw up a loop and slip to close. That's what we're looking like. We're going to chain 1 and then go into the stitch we just came out of with a single crochet. We're going to place this stitch marker back into the stitch we just created, indicating the very beginning of round number 10. Okay, so the unique thing about round number 10 is this. So we are going to remain working with this yellow stitch marker throughout our project. We will always have to know where we begin and where we end the round. However, this is the last round that we will be utilizing the rest of these stitch markers. So as we create our stitches for round number 10, we will be removing these and we will have no need for these any longer. Okay, so we're going to insert single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. Okay, so continue with that and I shall see you in just a few seconds. Okay friends, so I'm at the stitch marker, and so for this final round what we need to do is twins in a stitch and 8 standalones in the next 8 stitches. Okay, so we need a total of 30 stitches, 30 single crochets from stitch marker to stitch marker. Okay, so let's pop this out, and again we're not putting this back in, so we can just move it to the side. So from here what we need to do is twins in a stitch in that very next stitch, and then 8 standalones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. There's 1 and there's 2. 8 standalones in the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And from here what we want to do is twins in a stitch in the very next stitch. And then to finish the round here on this side, we need to do standalone in the next 8 stitches. But what I'm going to tell you from here, friends, is that all of these stitches are standalones from here all the way down to this stitch marker. Okay, so just to make it simple and easy, let's go ahead and do standalones in the next 8 stitches. Okay, just to make it easy, I don't want to confuse anyone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's pop that out. We no longer need it. And that's 8. From here, we're going to continue doing single crochets from where we are now, which formerly was the stitch marker. We're just going to continue doing single crochets until we get to that next stitch marker. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just continue doing that until we get to this next stitch marker. Super nice. Okay, so here we are at that stitch marker. So from here, what we need to do is twins in a stitch. So let's go ahead and take that out. We no longer need it. So 2 singles, and then 8 standalones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In the next stitch here, twins in a stitch, 1 and 2. and then 8 standalones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From here, twins in a stitch, 1 and 2. And then 8 standalones in the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So from here, we need to join to our yellow stitch marker to complete the 10 rounds here. So let's pop the stitch marker out. We're going to go into the first stitch of the round, draw up a loop, and slip to close. Let's go ahead and chain 1. And so that, my friends, is the base. Let me back up a little bit so you can see. And as you can see, it's not perfectly round, then that's okay because it looks like a pie wedge, so to speak. But as we build our project out, friends, this actually rounds out beautifully. Okay, so anyway, what we want to do from here, okay, now that the base is done, we're going to do half double crochets. All right, so let's go ahead and start the round of half double crochets. So from here, what we want to do is chain 1 more. So we need a chain of 2. And what we want to do is go into the stitch that we just came out of. Let's yarn over, go into that stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. That is a half double crochet. And what we want to do is we want to do a half double crochet in every stitch in the round. No increases. Every stitch in the round gets 1 half double crochet. Okay, let me just show you that stitch again. It's a yarn over. You're going to go into that stitch, draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops just like this. Okay, so continue doing this. In every stitch of the round, you're going to insert a half double crochet. Continue with that, and for round 11, I will meet you on the back side here to finish out the round, okay? Again, half double crochet every stitch in the round. I'll see you in just a second. Okay, friends, so here we are. I'm approaching the end of our first round with half double crochets, otherwise known as round number 11. And I will tell you, we need to do 5 rounds in total of the half double crochet, okay? No increases, nothing special. We're just going to go in the round, okay, every round, doing half double crochets for the next 5 rounds. Now, you can, if you want, you can leave a stitch marker in the very first stitch of the round, but as you can see, it's elevated, so you don't necessarily need to have it, okay? So from here, what we need to do to close out the round is continue doing half doubles for all of the stitches of the round until you get to your joining stitch, which is right there. And you can kind of see the pattern here. That's where we joined, okay? So from here, what we need to do is go into the very first stitch of the round, picking up the front loop and the back loop. We're going to draw up a loop and slip to close just like that. Okay, and that's how we will do every single round. Half double crochets all the way around, and to join, go into the first stitch of the round. From here, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to go into the stitch we just came out of. Yarn over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. So in total, we need 5 rounds. We have 1 round completed. That is round number 11. So we need rounds 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay? So I am going to leave you with that. 5 rounds of half double crochets, no increases, just continuously go around and around for a total of 5 rounds of this half double crochet. Okay, so continue with this, and I will be back once we have 5 rounds of half double crochet. Okay friends, so I have 5 rounds of half double crochet, as you can see here. So to join, to close off this round, this is round number 15, we're going to bring on a new color. Okay, so we're also switching stitches. So before we close this off, we're going to bring the new color on, and I'm going to introduce the cream color here, the Aran. And so I have the old working yarn and the new working yarn here. So to switch, what we need to do is go into the very first stitch of the round. Let's grab our new yarn, slide it through, and slip it over, just like that. Let's go ahead and flip to the back. And what we need to do is grab the scissors and cut, just like this. And we are going to go ahead and tie both of these yarns together. Nice and tight. Okay, so we have officially switched over to the Aran, and we are going to do half double crochet crosses for this round here. Okay, so to do the half double crochet cross, what we need to do is chain 2. Now, naturally, we would start by working into the stitch we just came out of, but we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to move over to this next stitch with a half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go into that second stitch, draw up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3. And then from here, we're going to backtrack and go into the stitch that we just skipped. We're going to yarn over, come back, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. And as you can see, we have our little cross here. And we're going to continue that pattern all the way around. So we're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next one here with a half double crochet. So yarn over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3. And now we're going to backtrack into this stitch that we just skipped, yarn over, come back, draw a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. Just like that. Okay, we'll do it one more time. Yarn over, skip this stitch, go into the next one, half double crochet, then yarn over, go into the skipped stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. And that's what we're looking like. Half double crochet crosses. All right, so continue doing this for round number 16, and I shall see you right here at the end of the round. Okay? Okay, friends, so I've reached the end of round number 16, and this is what we're looking like here. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch, it just elevates us to the round. And so to close out the round, what we want to do is go into the very first stitch of the round, picking up the front and the back loop, just like that. We're going to pick up the loop and pull through, just like that. And that concludes round number 16. So for this portion of our project, we need a total of 5 rounds of this half double crochet cross. But the unique part about this is that we are not going to be working into the heads of the stitches, the tops. We're going to be working on the sides of the stitches. So to begin, what we need to do is chain 2, and then we are going to start round number 17 by going into this space right here in between the stitches. So we're not going to go into the tops, we're going to go right in between. So we're going to yarn over, go into the far side of our cross, this space here, draw up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3. And then we're going to yarn over and come back to this side of the cross, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3, just like that. Let's continue on. So from here, we're going to go to the far side of our cross, yarn over, come over here into the space, drop a loop, yarn over, and slip through all 3. From here, you're going to yarn over and come back to this side of the cross, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3, just like that. And as you can see, they're stacked on top of one another. Super nice. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to do one more with you just to show you. I'm going to do it silently. Just like that. Okay? So continue doing this for round number 17, and I will meet you on the other side right here in just a moment. Okay, friends, so I am approaching the end of the round here. This is round number 17. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do half double crochet cross in this last cross here. Just like that. I'm going to come back around and do that there. Okay, so in total I need 5 rounds of this. So we have 2 rounds here. And so like before, we just need to go into the very first stitch of the round, drop a loop and slip to close. And we're going to chain 2, and we're going to continue on just like this. So I would strongly encourage you to continue on until you have 5 rounds, okay? So 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So 5 rounds in total of this. Continue on with that, and I will meet back with you on this side here at the end of round number 20, okay? Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 20. I have 5 rounds of this stacked half double crochet cross. It's very nice. So we have one more to do here, so I'm going to yarn over, go into the far side here of our cross, half double, and then yarn over and come to this side and do our half double. Okay, so that wraps up round number 20. And what I'd like to do now is go into the very first stitch, picking up the front and the back loop, draw a loop and slip to close. And so that ends round number 20. So what we're going to do now is go back to our original color here, and we're going to bring back the half double crochets, and we're going to alternate going up the bag here. So I'm bringing back our green here. So let me just pull this stitch out just like that. I'm going to go back into this stitch, and I'm going to grab the new color, pull it through, and slip through our stitch just like that. I'm going to flip the work to reveal the inside here. So this green is our new color. This is our old color here. So I'm just going to cut a tail. And we're going to tie off here. Nice and tight. Okay. So for round 21, we're going to go back to the half double crochet. But what we're going to do is first we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. And so from here, what we want to do is go into this space right here before our very first half double crochet cross. And we're going to insert a half double crochet just like that. And now we're going to go into this next space here, and we're going to insert 2 half double crochets. So yarn over, go into the space, do our half double, go back in and do it one more time, just like that. So it's 2 half doubles in between the crosses. There's 1, and there's 2, just like this. Okay, so continue doing this for the entire round, making sure that you're putting 2 half double crochets in between the crosses, just like that, okay? And I will see you on this side of the round, which is the end, okay? We'll be back in 1 second. Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 21, and we've done 2 half double crochets in between the crosses. Very nice. And so to finish off round number 21, we want to go ahead and insert 2 half doubles right here, which is the last half double crochet cross of the round. Let's go ahead and do that. There's 1, and then there's 2, just like that. Okay, so what we need to do now is attach to the very first stitch, go into the first stitch of the round, not the chains, the actual stitch. We're going to go in there, drop a loop, and slip to close. And so for this section of the green, we're going to need 5 rounds in total. We have 1 round completed. And so now we're going to go into every stitch. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do a half double crochet into the stitch we just came out of, which is right here. Just like that. And we're going to insert our hook to do a half double for every stitch in the round. Yarn over, go into the stitch, draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3. Just like that. Okay, so continue doing that, and I shall see you at the end of the round right here, okay? Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 22. I have 1 more stitch to go, which is right here. And then to close out round number 22, we're going to go into the very first stitch of the round, picking up the front loop and the back loop, just like that. We're going to draw a loop and slip to close. So as I mentioned, this particular section is going to require 5 rounds, as was the case with this particular section right here, which was rounds 16 through 20. So rounds 21 through 25 will all have half double crochets. We have 2 rounds done. We're going to do 3 more rounds. And again, to start the round, what you need to do is chain 2, insert a half double crochet in the stitch you just came out of, and insert a stitch into every stitch of the round here. So continue doing this until you have a total of 5 rounds of half double crochets, and I will see you at the end of round number 25. Okay, friends, so I am finishing up round number 25. I have 1 stitch remaining, which is right here, and then we're going to join to the beginning of the round. But in doing so, we're going to change back to our cream color here. This is the Aran, and so let's go ahead and finish this last stitch here, just like that. And so I'm going to insert my hook into the very first stitch of the round, and then I'm going to bring up the new color, which is right here. Let's go ahead and hook that through, and then through, just like that. I'm going to fold this back. All right. Okay, so this is the new color's tail. And let's just go ahead and cut out the green. And let's go ahead and tie this up. Okay. And that's what we're looking like. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go back to the half double crochet crosses, and for the very first round here, round number 26, we're going to be working into the stitches. Okay, so to start, what we're going to do is chain 2, just like that. And so from here, we're going to skip the stitch that we just came out of, which is right here. We're going to hop over to the next stitch and do a half double crochet. Yarn over, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. And then we're going to backtrack, yarn over, and come back to the stitch we came out of. Draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all the loops. And that's what we're looking like here. Okay? So, again, for round 26, we're going to work into the stitches. So we're going to skip this stitch and go into this stitch right here. Make sure you yarn over first. Go into the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. Yarn over, and then come back to this skipped stitch right here. Go into that stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. Okay? So continue doing this for round number 26, and I shall see you at the end of the round, which is on this side right here. I'll see you in just a few moments. Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 26. We have an entire round of half double crochet crosses. We've worked into the stitches here, and so we need to take care of the last stitch. So we're going to yarn over and go into that very first stitch here. So you have 1 stitch here and then 1 right here. It's a little tough, but it's okay. Just go right on in there. If you can't get your hook in there, just go right next door there. We want to make sure that we get our hook in there. And then backtrack into the stitch that we skipped. Just like that. It looks like there's a little bit of an overlap, but that's fine. So what we're going to do now is close out round number 26 by going into the very first stitch of the round, which is right here. We're going to drop a loop and slip to close. Okay, so for the next round, for round 27 through 30, we're going to continue working the half double crochet cross, but we're going to stack them by going next to the stitches by going into the spaces as opposed to going into the heads of the stitch across the top here. So to begin, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work on the far side of the cross, go into the space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3, yarn over and come back to this side of the cross, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3, just like that. Very simple. Yarn over, go on the far side of the cross, draw a loop, go through all 3 just like that. Yarn over, come to this side of the cross, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3. So continue doing this for not only every stitch of this round, but for the next 3 rounds after here. You need a total of 5 rounds of this, just like this. So rounds number 26 through 30 will be the exact replica of what we did down here. Okay, so this is round number 2. So finish round 2 and do 3 more rounds, and I will see you at round number 30 at the very end here. Okay, I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, friends, so here we are at the end of round number 30. I have repeated this section once more. And so what we need to do now is close out the round, but before we do that, we need to do another half double crochet cross here. So yarn over, go into the space, drop a loop, go through all 3, and then come onto this side and complete the half double crochet cross, just like that. Okay, so for round number 31, we are going to repeat these 5 rows right here. So for round number 31, we're going to do twins next to all the crosses, and then we're going to have 4 rows of half double crochets. So to get started, what we need to do is introduce or reintroduce the green. So let's go into the first stitch of the round, which is right there. We're going to grab the green and slide it through, and then slide it through. And we're going to fold this back, and we are going to trim the white off, just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and tie once and then tie twice. Perfect. There we go. Okay, like we did down here, we are going to chain 2, and then we're going to go right into this space with a half double crochet right on this side of the cross. And we're going to do a half double, and then in between the crosses we're going to do twins, 2 half double crochets next to all the crosses of the round. So for round number 31, go ahead and do half double crochets, 2 of them in between the crosses, and it should look like this. Okay, so continue with that, and I will see you at the end of round number 31 right here in just a few moments. Okay friends, so here I am at the end of round number 31. We have half double crochets in between all of the crosses here, as you can see, very nice. And so to finish the round, what we need to do is insert 2 half doubles on this side of the cross. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, go in, do our half double, and then do that one more time, just like that. Okay, so to close out the round, what we need to do is go into the very first stitch, so not the chains, the actual stitch, drop a loop and slip to close, just like that. Okay, so we're going to continue doing half double crochets for the next 4 rounds. We're literally going to do a replica of this. Okay, we're going to do that up here. So rounds number 31 through 35 will be half double crochets. So to get started, we need to chain 2 and then go into the stitch that we just came out of, which is right here. Do a half double, and then we're going to insert half doubles in every stitch of the round, just like this. So continue with that and continue on until you have 5 rounds in total. So you have 1 round of half double twins. We need 4 more rounds after that. So continue with this, and I will see you at the end of round number 35. So 5 rounds in total. Okay, so I will see you in just a few moments. Okay friends, so here we are at the end of round number 35, and this is what we're looking like here. Super nice. Here's the other side. Very nice. Okay, so let's come back to this side here. Now for round number 36, we're going to come back to the cream, this Aran color here. We're going to do a 3rd section of this, and this will be the last time that we work this stitch into our project. So what we want to do is go into the first stitch of the round, right here, not the chains, but the actual stitch, picking up the front loop and the back loop, and then we're going to reintroduce our cream here, our Aran color. Slide through and slide through, just like that. We're going to flip our work just like this. This is our new color, and this is our old color here. So let's just cut the green out. Just like that. Perfect. And so from here, we're just going to tie our ends here nice and tight. Once and then twice. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and chain 2, and like we did 2 other times, we are going to skip the stitch that we just came out of and go into the next stitch with a half double crochet, and then we're going to go back into the stitch that we skipped and do a half double crochet. Just like that. From here, we're going to skip the next stitch and go into the following stitch with a half double crochet. And then we're going to go back into this stitch that we skipped with a half double crochet. And that's what we are looking like here. So skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch with a half double, and then come back into the stitch that we skipped and do another half double, just like that. Okay, so continue on with this, going into every stitch of the round, half double cross, and I will see you on the back side here at the end of the round in just a moment. Okay friends, so here I am at the end of round number 36. We have half double crosses in the round here. And so to finish off the round, what we need to do is one last half double cross. So we're going to yarn over and go into this space right here, right under the chains, and draw a loop, yarn over and go through all three, yarn over and go into this space that we skipped right here and do a half double crochet just like that. So from here, what we want to do is go into the first stitch of the round, which is right here, drop a loop and slip to close just like that. So that concludes round number 36. So rounds 36 through 40 will be an exact replica of what you see right here. So it's stacked half double crochet crosses. And as I said before, the texture looks so great. Love that. Okay, so from here what we want to do is chain 2. And then we're going to hop right into this chain space right here on the far side of our cross. So we're going to yarn over, come over, do a half double cross, yarn over and come back to this side right here on this side of the cross. Just like that. We're just going to continue doing that. Half double crochet on the far side, yarn over and come to the near side and do a half double. And when I say far side, it's from the actual hook. So here's the cross, here's the hook, yarn over, come to the far side here, half double, yarn over, come to the near side here, half double. Just like that. So we're going to need 5 rounds of this. We're on round 2 of 5. So continue on with this until you have 5 rounds of the stacked half double crochet crosses like we've done before. Okay? So continue with this, and I shall see you at the end of the 5th round on this side right here where my finger is. All right? Okay, friends, so I am at the end of round number 40, and I have 1 stacked half double crochet cross to do on either side of this stitch right here. So we're going to yarn over, go into this space right here, and do a half double, and then yarn over and come to this side of the cross, go in and do a half double, and there we have it. So I'm going to reintroduce the green for round number 41, and in fact we're going to repeat this pattern right here just for that very first row. Okay, we are nearing the end of our project here as far as the bag is concerned. So we are going to do a round of half double crochets in between this, the crosses here, the spaces. Okay, so let's go ahead and insert our hook into the first stitch of the round, and we're going to bring the green back. Let's hook the green in here, pull through and pull through just like that, and we're going to fold our work down to reveal the back side here. We're going to pull our new yarn until the tail is sufficient in length, and then we're going to pair that up with the yarn that's going out and trim it just like that. So from here we're going to tie both new and old together. Tie once, and then tie a second time nice and tight. And there we have it. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to do half double crochets in between the crosses. Okay, so to start, what we need to do is chain 2, and we need to insert 1 half double crochet on this side of the cross, just like this. From here, we're going to hop to this side of the cross and insert 2 half double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. We're going to do that for each space. Okay, so for round 41, this is what we're looking like. Continue doing this, and I will meet you here at the end of round number 41 in just a few moments. Okay, friends, so I'm here at the end of round number 41, and what we want to do is go into the very first stitch of the round, not the chains, but the actual round. Draw up a loop and slip to close, just like that. From here, for round 42, we're going to do single crochets. So we're going to chain 1, and then we are going to go into the stitch that we just came out of and do a single crochet, just like that. And we're going to continue to do that for every stitch in the round for round number 42, just like this. Okay, so continue doing single crochets for every stitch in the round for round number 42, and I will see you on this side right here in just a few moments. Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 42, and I've inserted single crochets in every stitch of the round. This is what we're looking like. That's the inside, and this is the outside. Very nice. Okay, so for round number 43, let's see, 41, 42, yep, for 43, what we want to do is go into the very first stitch of the round, draw up a loop, and slip to close, just like that. So from here, we're going to chain 2, does not count as a stitch, and we're going to go into the stitch we just came out of with a double crochet. So it's a yarn over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, and go through 2, just like that. So from here, we're going to go next door and do another double crochet, just like that. Then we're going to chain 2 and skip 2. Skip, skip, and then in this third stitch here, we're going to do a double crochet. After that, we're going to go next door and do another double. So the repeat for this round for number 43 is double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, and skip 2. Go into that third stitch with a double crochet. Let's go in there one more time, just like that. Okay, so once more, it's 2 doubles, chain 2, skip 2, 2 doubles, chain 2, skip 2 for this entire round. So continue doing that, and I will see you on the back side here at the end of round number 43. Okay, friends, so here I am at the end of round number 43, and we have a bunch of windows here. Now, I designed this like this because we're going to run 2 strands of chains through here. So that is why it looks like this. Instead of just 1, we put 2 here just for extra stability. Okay, so to close out the round, what we need to do first is chain 2 for this particular window here. So let's chain 2. And from here, we're going to hop over the chains and go right into this first stitch here. Let's go into that stitch, draw up a loop, and slip to close, just like that. So now what we need to do is for the next round, for round 44, we need to do a round of single crochets to kind of hold those windows in place. We've done a round of single crochets before the windows. Now we need to do a round of single crochets after the windows. So to get started, we're going to chain 1 and go into the stitch that we just came out of, which is this double right here. We're going to go in, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through 2. Go into the next stitch, single crochet, and then we're going to go right into the chain space and do 2 singles, 1 and 2. From here we're going to go into the head of this stitch right here, do a single crochet there, and then next door a single crochet there. And so that is what we are looking like here. Okay, so continue doing single crochets, 2 singles in the chain spaces, and then a single crochet on top of both of these stitches here in the round here. So 2 singles, and then 2 singles, 2 singles, 2 singles, all the way around. And I will see you here at the end of round number 44 in just a few moments. Okay friends, so here I am at the end of round number 44, and I've inserted 2 single crochets in the windows, as you can see right here. And so what we want to do is go into the very first stitch of the round here, which is above this double crochet. So we're going to go in there, drop a loop, and slip to close. So from here, round number 45, we are going to go ahead and do double crochets for every single stitch in the round. So we're going to chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to go into the stitch that we just came out of with a double crochet. We're going to insert a double crochet in every stitch of the round. And just as a refresher, a double crochet is a yarn over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And this is going to be for every stitch in the round for round number 45. So continue doing this, and I shall see you at the end of round number 45. Okay friends, so here we are at the end of round number 45. We have the round of double crochets, super nice. Okay, so we're on the last round. So this very last round is going to be a round of single crochets. So we're going to go into the very first stitch, not the chains. We're going to go into that stitch, drop a loop, and slip to close, just like that. And from here, what we want to do is chain 1, and then go into the stitch we just came out of with a single crochet. And we're going to insert single crochets in every stitch in the round, just like this. So continue doing this, and I shall see you at the end of round number 46, our very last round, in just a few moments. Okay friends, so here I am at the end of round number 46. I've done a round of single crochets, super nice. Okay, so to close this out, what we need to do is go into the very first stitch, which is right here, not this chain, but the stitch, drop a loop, and slip to close. Now from here, we need to chain 2, grab a pair of scissors, and cut a tail, pull the hook away from our work, grab the yarn and pull these 2 chains down into the work. Nice and tight, and as you can see, it creates this super tight knot. And that is it. Okay. So I'm going to put us on a brief pause, and I'm going to sew in all of my ends. So if I turn the work inside out, which is what I'm going to do right now, just to kind of show you, these are the ends that I'm going to take my time and sew in all the changes and things. So I'm going to take care of that very quickly, and I will be right back. Okay friends, so I still have the bag inside out. I've sewn in my ends, as you can see here, and this is kind of what we're looking like. So we have the bottom, the 5 rounds of half doubles, and then the stacked half double crochet cross, and then we've repeated that pattern all the way up so that we have 3 repeats of the stacked half double crochet cross. It's super nice. And then we have 3 repeats of the half double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And then of course we have this top part here, which is super nice. And again, I just made sure to double everything up to reinforce it. So there's that. So the next step from here is we have to create our drawstring. Now we're going to create 2 drawstrings so that when we go to close our bag, we pull apart. And as we pull apart, the bag will then close. So what we need to do is grab 3 strands of yarn, preferably the colors that you're using. So I'm going to use 1 strand of the green and 2 strands of the Aran. I chose 2 of the lighter color because this band for me is the darker color. Okay, but however you would like to do that is absolutely fine. If you only want to use 2 strands, you can go ahead and do that too. But for me, I prefer to have the 3 strands. Now, if you're going to increase your strands, so if you're going to do 3 instead of 2, then I would highly recommend that you hook up. So whatever hook you're using, increase that by 1 or 2. I increased by 1, so we were working with this 6mm crochet hook. I'm now jumping up to a 6.5. Okay, so for this bag, what we need to do is chain 125. So let's create that slip knot just like this. And then from here, we're just going to chain 125. Take your time, make sure you get all of your strands. And you want this chain to be fairly tight. Okay, so continue doing that until you have 125 chains, and you're going to need 2 of these. So 2 strands or 2 chains of 125 long. Okay, so do those, and I will see you right back here in a few moments. Okay, friends, so I am back, and I have 2 strands here, 2 links, 2 chains, however you want to call this, 125 chains times 2, and this is what the ends are looking like. Now they're uneven for now, but we will fix that. So the first thing we need to do is weave our chains into our bag. But first, I need to flip this bag inside out, or right side out, should I say. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is the bag right side out. All right, and here are our chains. So, like I mentioned before, what we're aiming for is to be able to grab our chains and pull in opposite directions and have the bag close. So in order for that to happen, what we need to do is take our chain, match knot for knot, and lay this particular chain this way with the loop on this side right here. And then we're going to take this chain here and turn it around so that the loop is on this side. And so when we pull, this is what we're aiming for here. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one, this chain right here at the top for right now. We're going to work with this one. So this is how we're going to do this. So what we're going to do is take the chain and loop it like this. And so what we're going to do is weave the top part across the top, and then when we're done with the top, we're going to fold this back and weave the back along the back. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and go over and under and just weave over and under. It's pretty straightforward. If you're able to do this on a flat surface, it would be much easier. If not, just remember where your halfway point is here. And we're just going to continue to weave like that. All right, and so there we go. Okay, so we went over here, and now I'm going to fold the bag back, and I'm going to weave the rest of this in. So over, under, and just weave over, under, just like this. Super easy, lots of fun. And it doesn't take long at all. Once you have your chains done, you're good. So, and you should come out together like this. So let's just tighten everything up. And there you have it, okay? So that's the first part. Now the second part, we're literally going to do the exact opposite. So we're going to take the top, lay it across the top, the bottom, right above. Okay, so let's bring this back. Now we're not going to follow the same pattern. What we're going to do is pull this down to reveal the 2 double crochets. Okay, and we want to go in and around. We don't want the chains to share the same space, if that makes any sense. Okay, so we're going to go over this and under this. So literally the exact opposite. Bring that around like this. And just continue doing this. Okay, there we go. It's over and under. Over. And then we're going to come out this side right here. Okay? So there we have that. And then we're going to fold this back. And we're going to continue here. So we're going to go over and then under. Actually, no, we're not. So it's coming out this way, so we're going to wrap around just like this. And we want to do the opposite of what we're seeing. So this is an under, so we're going to go over this. Under and over. Over and under, just the opposite. So I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Over, under, there we go. We're getting it, friends. Over, let's go in there and out here. So we're going to leave it just like that, because if we don't, it's going to be odd. So at any rate, all we're going to do is just pull it. And this is what it should look like. Super fun, easy, and even. Very nice. Okay. So what we need to do now is take a look at our ends here. Let's grab all the ends. Okay. We're going to line the knots up just like this. And we're going to take the scissors and we're going to cut at the shortest point. So this is the shortest point right here. We're going to cut all of them the same length. So let's go ahead and do that very quickly. Okay. And then just for good measure, what I like to do is tie a knot, like an oversized knot, right here at the end. Here we go. feed that through. Piece of cake. Just like that. And so those are the ends. Okay, so let's just go ahead and pull this back. Let's pull that out like that. Super, super nice. Okay, now that wraps up the tutorial for the bag. Now, if you're not interested in putting a pocket inside of your bag, then you are finished. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. But if you're interested in installing a pocket on the inside of our bag, stay tuned. Okay, so I'm just going to place this on a brief pause and I'll be right back. Okay, friends, so we are going to go ahead and install a pocket right inside of our bag here. Now, the pocket will run from this solid point all the way down to this solid point. This is the base, so we're going to do an install here and run that 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 rows. Okay, and we're going to follow this pattern. So we're going to do 5 rows of half doubles, 5 rows of stacked half double crochet across, and we're going to alternate that so that we have 3 sections of half double crochets and 2 sections of the stacked half double crochet across. Okay, so for this pocket here, I've pre-measured, and if you want, you can make your pocket any size you want. Just count the nubbies here. Each nubbie is 2 chains. Okay, so I've pre-measured mine. All right, and I want 34 chains. All right, and that's going to bring me to about here. And I have some leeway on either side here. Now remember, this bag is an oval, so it's not going to be perfectly flat, which is fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my green yarn and I'm going to chain 34 with my 6mm crochet hook. So we're going to create a slip knot on our hook. However you do that is fine. And then from here, we're going to chain 34. 1, 2, 3, 4. So continue doing that, and I'll be back once I have my 34 chains. Okay, friends, so I have my 34 chains, and I'm going to lay this very gently on the bag to kind of show you the width of the pocket. So it's going to be like that. Okay. Now, remember, it stretches, so that's pretty much what we're going for here. So 34 chains. Now from here, we are going to chain 2 additional chains, and then we're going to insert our hook into the 3rd chain from the hook, yarn over, go into the 3rd chain, which is right here, and do a half double crochet just like that. Yarn over, go in, half double crochet. We're going to do that for every chain in the row here, just like that. Again, you're going to need 34 chains. So continue with that, and I will see you at the end of our chain, okay? Okay, friends, so this is what we're looking like here. I'm going to remove the bag for now, just so that we have the table to look at. Okay, so from here, what we need to do is chain 2, turn our work, and continue doing half double crochets for all the stitches in the row. And in fact, we're going to need 5 rows in total. So chain 2, turn the work, and go into this first stitch right here with a half double, and continue doing that for every stitch in the row. And in fact, continue doing this until you have 5 rows of half double crochets. I'll see you in just a second. Okay, friends, so I'm approaching the end of row number 5. So after row 5, I'm going to switch to the Aran color. So To do that, I'm going to yarn over, go into the stitch, draw up a loop. I have 3 loops on my hook, and then I'm going to introduce the Aran and slip through all 3, just like that. Okay, so from here I'm going to cut the green. Let's go ahead and trim that. And then let's go ahead and tie these 2 ends together. Tie once, tie twice, nice and tight. And that is what we're looking like. Okay, so from here we need to chain 2. Doesn't count as a stitch, just gets us up there. We're going to turn our work over, and from here we're going to do the half double cross. So we're going to skip the first stitch, go into the second stitch, yarn over, go in, do our half double, and then yarn over and come back to the stitch we skipped and do a half double, just like that. Skip the next stitch, go into the next one, make sure you yarn over and come back and complete that half double there, that half double cross. Skip the next stitch, go into the following one with a half double, yarn over, come back, and continue. All right, so we need 5 rows of this, but for now I will see you at the end of row number 6 right here in just a moment. Okay friends, I'm at the end of row 6. You should have 2 stitches remaining. We're going to go into that very last stitch first. Make sure to pick up the front loop and the back loop. Draw up that loop, yarn over, go through all of that there. Yarn over and come back and do that half double just like that. This is what row 6 is looking like. So row 6 is just the half double cross. Okay, so rows 7 through 10 will be stacked half double crosses. So we're going to chain 2, does not count as a stitch. We're going to turn our work over, and we are going to work on either side of these stitches here. Okay, so first and foremost we're going to insert a half double into this stitch right here, or I'm sorry, this space with a half double. And then we are going to see there's nothing for us to grab here, right? So we're going to yarn over and go into that, the head of the stitch right here, just to complete that. Okay, so again, since we don't have a space to hug over here because it's the end, we're going to go into the head of the stitch of that very first stitch. Okay, so from here we're going to work in the spaces. So yarn over, go into the space furthest from the hook, do a half double, yarn over and come back to this side of the cross and do a half double that way. It's very easy. It does take a little bit of practice and getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, you're going to fly, you'll see. So there you have it. So for row 7, continue doing this. This is the stacked half double crochet cross. And just so that you know, as an FYI, the reason why it's stacked like that, or it's called a stacked, is because we're not working into the heads of the stitches. We're actually working down here. So it's like hugging the stitches. Okay? So again, just work this all the way to the end here for row 7 and continue until you have 5 rows of this Aran color here. Okay, so continue with that and I will see you at the end of row 10. Okay friends, I just wanted to pop on very quickly. I'm still here at the end of row number 7, and for this last stitch here, we're going to yarn over and go into this space right here. So this was the chain 2 to elevate us to the level. We're going to go in between that and the actual stitch to finish the row. So half double there, and then we're going to yarn over and come back to this side and do a half double there to just finish the row. okay? And so from there, we're going to chain 2. So although it's not a stitch, we're actually going to be using it to complete our stitches as you just saw here, okay? So I finished 2 rows here with 3 to go, and I will see you at the end of row number 10. Okay friends, so here I am at the end of round number 10, or row 10 rather, sorry. So from here, I'm actually going to pull back. I'm going to start that stitch over, so I'm going to yarn over, go into the space, draw up a loop, and I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm not going to complete that because I'm going to switch back over to the green. So from here, I'm going to grab my scissors and cut a tail, just like that. And now I'm going to introduce the green. So let's hook that through just like that. And let's get these ends tied in. Just like that. Perfect. Nice and tight. And there we have it. Okay. So from here, 11 through 15 will be a repeat of the half double crochets. Okay. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to place 2 half double crochets in between all of the crosses here, just like this. And then we're going to hop over here and do 2 half doubles. Then we're going to hop over here, do 2 half doubles, and that's what we're looking like. Okay, so continue with this half double crochets. This first row here is just getting twins in, I guess, the space. So it's 2 half doubles in between the crosses, okay? But rows 12 through 15 will receive 1 stitch, 1 half double crochet in each stitch, okay? So continue doing this, and I will meet you at the end of the row, just for good measure, okay? 1 second, I'll be right there. Okay, friends, so this is what we're looking like. This is row number 11. And so 12 through 15 will be all half double crochets. So from here, we're going to chain 2. It does not count as a stitch. We're going to turn our work. This is what the back is looking like. Or the front, I mean, however you want to do it. So we're going to insert a half double crochet in every stitch of the row. And in the next 4 rows, every stitch will receive a half double crochet. Okay? So continue doing this, and I will see you at the end of row number 15. Okay, friends, I am at the end of row number 15, 5, 10, 15. And I'm going to switch back to Aaron. So I've completed half of the half double crochet. I'm going to bring the Aaron back, hook it on there, and slide it through. Just like that. We're going to cut a tail here. And let's tie that up. That's 1, and here's 2. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to repeat this section right here. This is the last time we're repeating it. So let's go ahead and chain 2, 1 and 2. Let's turn our work. So from here, we're going to skip the first stitch, go into the second stitch right here with a half double crochet. We're going to yarn over and go back to the stitch we skipped and do a half double crochet. Just like that. From here, we're going to skip the next stitch and go into the following one with a half double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over and come back into the stitch we skipped and do a half double crochet. So let's do that one more time. Yarn over, skip, go into the next one, half double, yarn over and come back, half double, just like that. So continue doing this, and I shall see you at the end of the row, which is row number 16. Okay friends, I'm at the end of row number 16, and I have 2 stitches remaining, as you can see right there. So we're going to yarn over, skip this stitch right here and come to the next one. Insert our hook, drop a loop, yarn over and go through 3. Then we're going to backtrack and go into this stitch right here that we skipped. Yarn over, go in, drop a loop, yarn over and go through all 3, just like that. From here we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And now instead of doing the half double crochet cross, we're going to do a stacked half double crochet cross. So we're going to yarn over and go into the space in between the crosses right here. Let's do a half double there, just like that. Now because we're on an end, there's no place for that other stitch to go. We're going to go into the head of the stitch. You can see it right here. So we're going to yarn over and go into the head of that stitch right here, drop a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 very carefully. From here, we're going to go into the far side of the cross here, yarn over, come over here, do a half double, yarn over and come to this side and do a half double. We're going to repeat that for the next 4 rows, including this one. So we need a total of 5 rows. So we have 1 and 2. It's very straightforward and simple. So just for good measure, I will meet you at the end of this row right here. Okay? So row number 17, it's now stacked half double crochet cross, and I'll meet you right here. Okay friends, I'm at the end of row number 17, and so what we have left is the cross and then this chain space here. So as I mentioned before down here, we're going to yarn over and go into the chain space on this side of our stitch, drop a loop, go through all 3, yarn over and come back to this side of the double crochet cross and complete a half double crochet, just like that. Okay, so from here we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and continue on. We need 3 more rows of the stacked half double crochet cross. So to start, for good measure, we're going to yarn over, go into the space in between the crosses, and then we're going to yarn over and go into the space right here, the head of the stitch, and do our half double crochet, just like that. And then every one after that is going to be in between the crosses. Okay, just like this. So continue doing this until you have 5 rows, and I will meet you at the end of row number 20. Okay friends, so I am at the end of row number 20, and I did not complete the last stitch all the way because we're going to bring the green back. So I'm going to cut a tail just like that. I'm going to bring the green around the loop, pull that through to complete the stitch. Oops, let me make sure I don't lose anything. There we go, just like that. I'm going to flip this over and let's get this tied up before it falls apart. There we go. Okay. And so we're now on the last 5 rows. Let me just pull this back. So this is what we're looking like so far. We have half doubles, half double cross, stacked of course, half doubles, and then the cross. So 3 of these, 2 of these, and we're done. So we have the last 5 rows. So from here what we need to do is chain 2 and turn our work. from here, we need to go into the space in between the crosses and do 2 half doubles, just like that. We're going to hop over to the next space and do 2 half doubles, just like that. Okay, so continue on with that, and I will see you at the end of row number 21. Okay friends, so I have 32 stitches. I need 2 more, so we're going to go into this chain space right here and do 2 half doubles, just like that. And as you can see, we did it down here as well. So from here, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And now we're going to go into the very next stitch and insert a half double crochet. And we're going to insert a half double in every stitch of this row and of the next 4 rows. So in total, we need 5 rows of half double crochets. We finished the first one, we're on the second one. So continue on with this, and I will see you at the end of row number 25. Okay friends, so I'm at the end of row 25 with 1 stitch remaining. I'm going to go ahead and insert that half double, just like that. And so from here, I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to grab my scissors, cut a tail, pull the hook away from the work, and pinch and pull the 2 chains into our work. And it creates this wonderful knot, just like that. Okay, so here are the rows that we need for our pocket. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew in my ends. I'm going to place us on a brief pause. I'm going to sew everything in, and I will be right back, okay? Okay friends, so I've sewn in all of my ends, and we are good to go. Okay, so let's bring the bag back up. There we go. And let me back this up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so here is the bag, and we are still inside out, which is perfect. Okay, so here is the pocket, and what we're going to do is we're going to line it up. This is perfect. Yep, here, here, and here. So this is the base, and just above the base we have half double crochets. So we're just going to line this up. Let me zoom in just a little bit. So you want to center your pocket so it's even on both sides. Okay, just let me back this up now. There we go. So just get it as close as you possibly can. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew this pocket in. So I'm going to start here, actually. Let me just make sure everything is good. Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to start with this bottom here. And just grab yourself yarn, and you want to make sure that the colors are matching, of course. So we're going to thread our needle, just like this. And I like to go with 2 strands at a time, just like that. And we are going to make sure that we get the appropriate row here. Yep, perfect. So we're just going to line it up, go into our bag and into our pocket. Pull that through until you're almost at the end. And from here, we're just going to tie a knot. Just like that. Then we're going to tie another knot. Nice and tight. Okay. So all we're doing is going through the chain and through the stitch. Of course, neatly. There we go. Perfect. And you want to make sure that you go in between the fibers and also because you don't want to puncture the outside of the bag, right? So go in between the fibers there where you're picking what you need up without compromising the outside of the bag. Just like that. If you do it like this, you won't see this line on the outside of the bag. So continue with that, and I will be back once this is all sewn in. Just keep going all the way across until you get to here. Now if you run out of thread, just rethread yourself, tie another knot, and continue going, okay? So continue with this, and I shall see you in a few moments. Okay friends, so I've sewn this all in, and this is what I had left. So to just finish it off, I'm going to go back in, kind of hold that loop there just like that. I'm going to take my scissors and cut that. Just like that. I'm going to feed that through my loop and pull that nice and tight. Perfect. Okay, so for now I'm just going to leave the ends as they are. And so we're going to turn this sideways. Just slide this back this way. There we go. And so as you can see, it lines up color-wise perfectly. Now the tension has this a little wobbly, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is literally just sew all of this in. Now you have a choice. You can change your colors, or you can choose a color and just ride it along. Now I am going to use green all the way through, and I'm going to make sure to not puncture all the way through to the other side of the bag, because if I do that, the green will show. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go through this side here when I sew in my pocket, but when I touch this side here, I'm only going to go halfway through, only picking up one part of the loop and not all the way. You see what I mean? So on the other side, there's still yarn there. So when it's flipped right side out, you're not going to see the green. Okay? So if you're going to do it this way, just make sure to pick up the back loops of everything. Okay, and it will not show on the other side. Otherwise, you can change your colors and sew in your ends and all that. I'm not a huge fan of sewing in a bunch of ends, so this is how I'm doing it. But feel free to do it however you would like. So I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle here. Just like that. I'm going to make a nice long... There we go, perfect. So let me go ahead and trim this. All right. And now what we're going to do is start here. Let me zoom in so we can see everything. Okay. So we're going to just pick up fabric from here and here. Now this is green, it's fine. So we're just going to pull that through until we get to the end of our piece here. Just going to make sure to line everything up. There we go. I'm going to leave an adequate tail so that we can sew everything in later. Let's go ahead and knot that up. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to pinch. I'm going to pick up yarn from here and yarn from here. I'm just going to continue doing this all the way up this side here. When I get to the white, I'm going to pay special attention to how far I'm going into the stitch. The nice thing about this half double crochet cross is is that there's loops on both sides of the stitch, which is great for this because it actually will hide the green. Okay, so once I get past the white, I will leave you to it to continue on, but for now I'm almost there. And make sure that your yarn or whatever you're using is taut but not too tight. Okay. There we go. And just make sure your colors are lining up appropriately. Just like that. Okay. Just one more in the green here for good measure to make sure that everything stays lined up. And as you can see, I'm making sure to not puncture any of the white. Just have to be very careful. There you go. Okay. So now that we're into the white, we have to be very careful. So I'm just going to pick up the closest loop with the closest loop. Just like that. Here we go. And this part here is the fabric. So as you see, I'm not going all the way through. But when it comes to the pocket, I can technically go all the way through. It's fine. So once you get the hang of this, it's pretty simple. But whatever you do, don't puncture all the way through because then it will show on the other side. Just make sure that our colors stay in unison with each other. There we go. And now we're back into the green. Just like that. Okay, friends, so continue on with this, and I shall see you when we're done sewing in the sides. I've shown you this side, so if you need more guidance, just replay this. I'm going to finish up this side, and I'm going to finish up the other side, and I'll see you in just a few moments. Okay, friends, so I have everything sewn in. We're good here. This is what we're looking like on the inside. So this is the inside pocket. Very nice. And then just to show you, because you can see this here, we're going to flip the bag right side out. Just like this. Going to straighten it all out. And this is kind of where the pocket is. And as you can see, you can't see anything on this side of the bag, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay? Super, super nice. And we have this wonderful pocket on the inside of the bag, which is exactly what we wanted. See? Super, super nice. Well, friends, at long last, we made it to the end of the tutorial. I really, really hope that you enjoy this project and maybe you make more than just one. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making this for you guys, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And then, of course, hit the notifications to stay updated for more tutorials. My friends, that is all for now. And until the next one, take care. Bye-bye.